It started with a single click, a deleted file, no press release, no public announcement, just gone. That file belonged to a missing woman. Her name was Elena, and for 14 years, her case sat in Interpol's database. Quiet, unresolved, forgotten by most. But last Tuesday, someone made a decision. Someone higher up. They didn't close the case. They erased it. Why would the world's most powerful police organization delete a missing person's file? That's what I'm going to tell you. And trust me, the answer is darker than you think. This is the story of Elena Voss. She was a 32-year-old translator from Berlin, fluent in 4 languages. She worked for a mid-level logistics company. Nothing flashy, nothing dangerous. At least, that's what everyone believed. In March of 2012, Elena flew to Lyon, France. Interpol headquarters is based there. She wasn't a suspect. She wasn't an officer. She was there for a routine translation contract. 3 days of work. Simple, professional, boring. On the last day of her contract, she sent a text to her sister. It said, "I found something weird in the archives. Call you tonight." That was the last message anyone ever received from her. Elena never made it to the airport. Her suitcase stayed in her hotel room. Her passport stayed in the safe. She simply vanished. Local police opened an investigation. They found nothing. No struggle. No witnesses. No security footage. A month later, Interpol took over the case. They had access to everything. Surveillance. Satellite image. Internal records. Still, nothing. For years, the file sat in their system. Case number 2012-4891. Every few months, a detective would glance at it. No leads. No suspects. Just a ghost. Then, in 2018, something shifted. A journalist named Marcus Holt started digging. He wasn't famous. He ran a small crime blog. But he had one skill: he hated loose ends. Marcus noticed something strange. Elena's employer had gone bankrupt 6 months after she disappeared. Not unusual, right? But the CEO, he sold his company for pennies. And then he bought a villa in Portugal. Cash. Marcus tried to connect the dots. He filed Freedom of Information requests. All denied. He reached out to Interpol directly. They gave him a standard response. The case remains open. No further comment. But Marcus didn't stop. He found an old employee from that logistics company, a woman named Clara. Clara told him something off the record. She said Elena had access to a restricted database during her work in Lyon. Not by accident. She used a senior officer's login. Someone had given her the password. Who? Clara didn't know. But she remembered Elena's face when she came back to the office that day. Pale. Shaking. She whispered to Clara, "They're moving people, not cargo." That was the last time anyone saw Elena alive. Now let's jump to last month. A hacker group called Glass Mirror leaked thousands of Interpol documents. Most of them were boring. Budget reports, staff rotations. But one file caught the internet's attention. It was a deletion log. And there it was. Case number 2012-4891, marked as archived permanent removal. No explanation. No review note. Just a timestamp. The deletion happened at 3:14 a.m. Geneva time. That's not normal. Archival deletions are done during business hours. By supervisors. Not in the middle of the night. So who pushed the button? The log showed a user ID. That ID belonged to a senior legal advisor named Dr. Henri Fournier. Dr. Fournier retired 3 days later. He moved to a small island in the Caribbean. He doesn't do interviews. He doesn't have social media. He vanished almost as quietly as Elena did. Now, here's the twist that keeps me up at night. Glass Mirror also found an internal memo. It was dated 1 week before Elena's disappearance. The memo mentioned a human asset relocation program. That's code. Intelligence agencies use that phrase when they move informants, or witnesses, or threats. Elena wasn't a spy. She was a translator. But what if she translated the wrong thing? What if she read a document that named powerful people? People who didn't want to be named? Let me take you deeper. I spoke to a former Interpol analyst off the record. He told me that the Lyon headquarters had a secret floor, not on any official map, not accessible by regular elevators. That floor handled sensitive third-party operations. That means private military contractors. That means intelligence agencies from countries that don't officially cooperate. Elena's contract gave her access to that floor. Temporary access. But enough. Enough to see names. Enough to see flight manifests. Enough to see that some missing persons weren't missing at all. They were relocated. Against their will. So why delete her file now? After 14 years? Because the last person who knew what she saw just died. A retired French colonel. He passed away in January. Natural causes. Officially. 2 weeks later, the file was deleted. Coincidence? Maybe. But here is the part that makes my stomach turn. Elena's sister still lives in Berlin. She told a local news outlet last week that she received an anonymous email. One line. Stop looking. She is safe, but she is not coming back. Safe where? Safe from what? And if she's safe, why does Interpol want to forget her? This is not a cold case. This is a cover-up, dressed as bureaucracy. And the deletion of her file isn't the end of the story. It's proof that someone is still watching, still cleaning, still hiding. Elena Voss is out there, or she's gone forever. But the truth is buried in a server that no longer exists. And the people who erased it, they know exactly what they did. What would you do if you found out your own government deleted your existence? Think about that. If you made it this far, hit that like button. It really helps the channel. And comment below. Do you think Elena is still alive? I read every single comment. Subscribe if you want more deep dives into cases that don't add up, because the ones they hide are always the ones that matter most. It started with a deleted file, one click, one missing woman, and a global police organization that swore she never existed. That woman was Elena Voss, a translator from Berlin, a sister, a daughter, and for 14 years, a ghost. But here's what I haven't told you yet. The deletion of her file wasn't the end of the cover-up. It was the beginning of something much worse. Because someone inside Interpol didn't just erase her case. They erased her identity, her passport, her bank records, her medical history, all gone, like she was never born. Now let me take you back to 2012. Elena arrived in Lyon for a 3-day translation job. She was sharp, curious, the kind of person who asked too many questions. On her second day, she was given a stack of documents to translate. Russian to German. Standard stuff. But one page caught her eye. It wasn't a shipping manifest. It was a list of names. 23 names. All women. All between the ages of 18 and 35. All marked with a red stamp that said, Relocation Priority. Elena didn't know what that meant, but she recognized one of the names. An old classmate from university. A woman named Irina. Irina had disappeared 2 years earlier. Her family was told she ran away. But Elena knew Irina. She would never leave her mother. Never. That night, Elena called her sister. She didn't leave a voicemail. She sent a text. I found something weird in the archives. Call you tonight. That was the last message. Now here's the part that Interpol never wanted you to know. The translator who replaced Elena the next day, Elena Voss, Sophie. Sophie was recruited specifically for that job. She was given the same documents, but she was told to ignore the Russian page. She was told it was a test sheet. Not real. Not important. Sophie didn't ask questions. She did her job. She went home, and she never thought about it again. Until 2019, Sophie was cleaning her old hard drive. She found a scanned copy of that Russian page. She couldn't read it, but she remembered Elena. She remembered how pale Elena looked. So she sent the page to a freelance journalist. That journalist was Marcus Holt. Marcus spent 3 years investigating that single page. He cross-referenced the names. He found that 12 of the 23 women had been reported missing. The other 11, they had no records at all. No birth certificates, no school records, no dental records. They were ghosts before they even disappeared. Marcus tried to publish his findings. Every outlet rejected him. Too speculative, too dangerous, too close to conspiracy. Then, in 2022, Marcus received an encrypted email. The sender used a temporary address. The message was short. Stop. They know you have the list. They know you talked to Clara. Walk away. Marcus didn't walk away. He drove to Lyon. He wanted to visit the archives himself, but his car never arrived. He was found 3 days later in a ditch outside Dijon. Officially, it was a single-car accident, but the damage to his vehicle didn't match the road. And his laptop was missing. His phone was missing. The Russian page was missing. Now let's talk about the deletion. Interpol's internal log shows that Elena's file was accessed twice in 2022. Once in March, once in November, both times by the same user ID. That ID belonged to a woman named Dr. Sabine Keller. She was a psychologist. She worked for Interpol's Behavioral Analysis Unit. Why would a psychologist need a missing persons file? Here is the answer. Dr. Keller wasn't analyzing Elena. She was analyzing the people who deleted her. Because Dr. Keller had her own secret. She was Elena's half-sister. Same mother, different fathers. They hadn't spoken in years. But when Elena disappeared, Sabine didn't believe the official story. She joined Interpol specifically to find the truth. For 12 years, she worked in the shadows. She copied files. She logged access. She built a private network of informants. And in November 2022, she found it. A classified memo. It said that the Relocation Priority Program was run by a private security firm. That firm was hired by 3 European governments. To do what? To remove women who had witnessed human trafficking operations. Not to protect them, to hide them, permanently. Sabine wanted to expose everything, but before she could, her access was revoked. Her credentials were flagged, and she was given an ultimatum: retire quietly, or face criminal charges. She retired, but not before she downloaded one final file. That file was Elena's original missing person report, the one from 2012, the one with the handwritten notes. And in those notes, there was a single line that changed everything. It said, "Subject recognized operative from previous relocation. Risk level, extreme." Elena didn't just translate the wrong document. She recognized a face. One of the men on that list was an Interpol officer, a high-ranking one. He was the one who gave her the password. He was the one who brought her to that restricted floor. And he was the one who made sure she never left Lyon. But here is the ending that I cannot shake. 2 weeks ago, Sabine Keller disappeared. Her apartment in Brussels is empty. Her bank account is frozen. Her colleagues say she went on a sabbatical. But her mother received a postcard. No return address. No stamp. Just 2 words, written in Elena's handwriting. "I'm fine." That handwriting was verified by a forensic analyst. 98% match. So Elena is alive. But where? And why did Interpol delete her file if she's still out there? Because the file contained the names of the men who took her. And those men are still in power. One of them was promoted last year. He now oversees Interpol's Human Rights Division. The irony is sickening. The deletion wasn't about hiding a dead woman. It was about protecting the living, the guilty ones, the ones who wear badges and give speeches about justice. Elena Voss is not a victim. She is a witness. And witnesses who disappear, they don't get found. They get erased. Not by bullets, by bureaucracy. But here is the final twist. Yesterday, a new file appeared in Interpol's system, case number 2026 to 4891. Same digits, different year. It lists a missing person. Name: Sabine Keller. Status: active investigation. They are looking for the woman who looked for her sister. They are using the same system, the same protocols, the same silence. So I have one question for you. If they delete Sabine's file next year, Who will remember her? Who will remember Elena? Who will remember the truth that lived inside a single Russian page? You will. Because you just heard this story. And stories don't die. They wait. They wait for someone to tell them again. If you want to be that someone, hit that like button. Share this video with one person who needs to know. Comment below. Remember Elena. Just those 2 words. Because the system wants us to forget. But we don't have to. Subscribe and turn on notifications. I don't make videos for algorithms. I make them for people like you. People who stay until the very end. And now that you've stayed, tell me, do you think Sabine will ever be found? Or is she already erased too? I'll see you in the next one. And next time, we dig deeper.